Today, I'm gonna teach you about the chapter cell, the building block of life, simply known as Chapter 2 from the textbook of NCERT Exploration. So let's begin our chapter. So, okay, first of all, I'm gonna write about different things on how a cell functions, what is the use of the cell, and the importance of cell and how it really works, and why is it required for all of the matter. So let's begin this. So first of all, cell is a particular piece. Like you know about puzzles. Puzzles are many different types, and each puzzle contains small amounts of little blocks like this. Now what these blocks are known, these are known as cells. Now if you join all of these blocks together like this, it will form a shape which is known as a tissue. This shape is the basic layer of any organ or any other stuff. So, first of all, when we got the tissue, that forms different organs such as the lungs and stomach, and using those organs, we get our human body. So basically, this is a scientific theory that everybody taught for a very, very long time, and that is all the matter present in the universe is made up of one thing: cells. Now, what do we call matter? Matter here is organs, animals, and other creatures, like you can say birds, chicken eggs, humans, Great Indian Bustard, and many other examples. There are a lot of examples for matter. Now, by taking the fact about matter, we're going to talk about the creation and the looks of cells. So, cells are of basically two types: eukaryotic and prokaryotic. And in those types, there's a plant cell and there's an animal cell. So, before we discuss about all these types, we're going to talk about the cell and its actual figure. So, basic representation of cell is a circle with a nucleus. This is the first representation of cell ever known to man. This is the outer plate, the wall, the exo wall, and this is the brain of the cell, the nucleus, and these are its nutrients that are present in the plant. I'm saying cell, yeah. So let us talk about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Now, first, we're going to talk about what are eukaryotic cells. These are the type of cells which actually have a less defined nucleus. They have a very less defined nucleus. And because of these well-defined nucleuses, they function much more better and much more faster in comparison to other cells. First, we're going to take a cell. This is a normal cell. Now, this is a nucleus. And these little line thingies are the particles inside the cell. So, the cells are filled with cytoplasm, and in eukaryotic cells, cytoplasm contains several different organelles, and these organelles are quite necessary for our body because they perform different functions in each way. So let us talk about eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells, you could say, this is a cell. It has a purely well-defined nucleus. Now this is a eukaryotic cell because its nucleus here is so well defined it contains every single structure, every single thing, and every single importance inside it. This contains many different information and many different things that are important to the cell. Like it contains chromosomes which carry composed of DNA and are associated with proteins which carry genetic information. This is quite necessary for the human body. Now, if we talk about this cell is filled with different types of cytoplasm as I explained earlier. Now, we're going to talk about prokaryotic cells. Now you can see that the eukaryotic cell was much more larger and complex, and they had a well-defined nucleus and many membrane-bound organelles. Now in this one, prokaryotic cells, they do not have a well-defined nucleus, which means their nucleus could be different in size, might be so small, or might not just be a circle, or might even be right at the corner of the cell. So, they don't have a well-defined nucleus, and their genetic material is present in a region called the nucleus. This is not in the nucleus, but it is near the nucleus, just like a little point right in the left or the right side of the cell. Now, this is the lack of membrane-bound organelles. Yeah, so this means that this whole cell does not have any organelles that are bounded to the membrane. Now, you guys might be thinking, what is a membrane? Here, we are talking about the cell membrane. Cell membrane is something that is containing many different informations, and it is present in plants, fungi, bacteria, and many other things. So, because of presentation of all of these type of things inside the cell, this makes the cell much more complex and much more better. So, we can say that this is a eukaryotic cell, and this is a prokaryotic cell. The difference between these cells is that this one has a much more larger space, a much more well-defined nucleus, and in this one, it does not have a large space, a nucleus which isn't well-defined, and has a little small place known as a nucleoid, which carries all of its information. While in the nucleus of this eukaryotic cell, it contains a lot high amounts of information. So, we're going to talk about the two types of these cells. First, I'm going to erase this. Oh shit. Okay. So, now we're going to talk about plants and animal cells. So basically, plant cells are the type of cells that contain a little small piece of wall around it, and animal cells do not have walls because they're much more flexible. So, in the same way, we're going to talk about these two types. First, we have a plant cell. Basically, a plant cell is like this small little box, like this, contains small little points. This is a basic structure that I'm creating for a plant cell. I mean, I know it's not that refined and it's not that great, but I'm trying to create a plant cell here. like this. So this is a plant cell in which we contain a thing little like this. First, I'm going to create a whole diagram. I know it's not understandable, but I'm going to try. So here we're going to talk about some things. This here is a vacuole. From here, the plant absorbs all of its food and all of its things that is necessary. Now here is a nucleus. And right in the small center is a nucleoid. Now, because we have a nucleus and a nucleoid here, we're going to also think about different things such as the ER, which is a small little zigzag type thing. I'm going to explain it, what it really is. Then we got mitochondria here. I'm going to write it for mitoco in short. So, and we got this empty space here, which is the cytoplasm space. This contains the basic information of a eukaryotic cell. And this structure that I made outside is the cell wall. Now this cell wall is the most necessariest part of the whole plant. And why is it necessary? Because it functions as a protective layer for the whole cell. Now, how does it protect how does it make itself as a protective layer? I'm going to explain it right now. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the cell interior here. So, this has a permeable membrane, which means that it selects the things that is useful for it and extracts the things that is not useful. And the cytoplasm here is like a jelly type substance here, and it contains prominent nucleus systems, which is right connected to the nucleoid and nucleus right here. And we're also going to talk about how the cell is prokaryotic or eukaryotic. So in this cell, this is 100% eukaryotic because it is perfectly formed and has a perfectly formed, created, and much more defined wall, and its cell structure is defined. But it also is prokaryotic. Why? Because you can see here, it has a nucleoid, which means that this cell does not have a good nucleus, but is overallly defined. We take the cells from accordance to its cell and its nucleus. So the nucleus is not defined. So basically, we will call it as a prokaryotic cell. Even though it has a well-defined outside exterior and a lot of things like mitochondria and cytoplasm, we're going to still define it as the nucleoid and as a prokaryotic cell. And now we're going to talk about an animal cell. And just like a plant cell, the animal cell is much more different from other cells. Why? Because it does not have an exterior to protect itself from different things. The plant cell is like this, and it has another layer outside it. This layer is the cell wall, which protects it from different organisms that attack him from the outside. Like something, like you can say a worm comes and bites this plant. The cell will quickly react and quickly regenerate itself because of its cell wall. Now, humans do regenerate their own bodies, but it takes a lot less time than the plant cells. Now, how? I'm going to teach you. So first, we are going to talk about the plant cell. You can say, you all have seen those globe diagrams that you've learned before, the diagrams of a globe in which they show different layers of the planet. Just like that. to make a diagram related to this, we are going to create a small little layer like this. This is the beginning of creating this cell. Probably curving it from this side and this side too. Okay, now it's much better. Now, first, I'm going to take this line and create a layer like this, create another layer like this, and make it like this, looking like this. And then I'm going to create very small thin lines. With this is the basic structure. This means that it is the base and the literal beginning of the whole cell. I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to make it much more bigger, like this. Yeah. So now we're going to see what to create and what to build. So first we're going to talk about small structures such as this and other structures, which I'm going to complete right now. And once I'm done, I'm going to show you the structure. Alright, now I'm done with the cell structure and let us learn about it. So first, we're going to learn about this. This is the ER, which means the endoplasmic reticulum. This functions as a protective layer and it helps to digest different organisms. It's basically like the intestines. So, now we talk about this little zigzag thing. This is the Golgi body. This is a great functional part of the cell, which is also very protective and it looks like a ER. I'm going to explain more about the Golgi body soon. Now, we got this thing, which is the mitochondria. And then we got this. Where is it? I lost it. Yeah, this is the cytoplasm. And then we got these things. This is a vacuole. This is the nucleus. And the outer layer is the nucleolus. Yeah, so this is the nucleolus. And we got the ER, we got the nucleolus, we got everything. Yeah, we got a ribosome. And the lysosome. So, here in the structure, this is the ER, the endoplasmic reticulum, which works as some sort of intestine for our whole body. And then we got the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus is quite smart and it acts as something which is quite important for our whole plant. It modifies, sorts, and packages proteins and lipids into vesicles of the cell, and it also contains quite lysosome information. Now, by lysosome, I'm going to teach you about lysosomes. These are single membrane bound sacs filled with enzymes which can break down unwanted proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and even other substances that are unbreakable. So, now we talk about the nucleus, which is basically the main structure. And the endoplasmic reticulum is an organelle type thing, which also, I told you, it works as an intestine. And it has two types. I forgot to tell about that. First is the RER, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and is the SER, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now the RER is quite rough and has an electron microscope type view because you can also view it from only that type of microscope. And it has ribosomes attached to its surface. And just like smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it does not have ribosomes on its surface. Yeah, it does not have ribosomes in its surface, and it looks quite smooth. And it's quite synthesized and quite filled with hormones, which works as a structure part. So that is only the basic thing that we're gonna learn about this, and that's it. Okay, thank you everybody. We're gonna learn about the cell chapter more, some other things, in some other day. Okay.